Hello and welcome back to the Jessica Pinili podcast. I am so excited. I've been looking forward to getting back on the podcast, and I really had all good intentions. I'm back from Europe. I had all good intentions to be putting out podcast episodes, but my goodness, is traveling exhausting. I feel so grateful. I'm so appreciative of all of the experiences, and hopefully you were able to follow along on my Instagram whilst we were in Europe. It was an amazing trip. We did so much, but it just, there was no time, no space to be able to record a podcast episode. So I apologize. I know I had the intentions. I missed you guys, but I'm super excited to be able to get back on the podcast. I got back last week and I had every intention to record at least one episode. However, jet lag is kicking my ass. I am exhausted when it's like 10 a.m., 11 a.m. here in Brisbane, and that's like midnight over in Europe. So I'm struggling with that a bit. I'm hoping by next week, I'm trying to do a few different things in my morning and in my nighttime routine to try to just get me back into the flow of Australian time zone. My partner, he's absolutely fine. We actually landed at 10:30 a.m. last Tuesday. He went to work the next day, like not even late. He got in at 7 a.m. And I asked him last night, I'm like, are you even jet lagged? And he's like, no, I feel fine. So that's that. I'm trying to overcome that whilst also getting back into routine, but completely shifting my routine. And I'm going to go into that a little bit. But how are you guys? How are you doing? We are almost in the fourth quarter, the last quarter of 2023, and I'm excited. In Australia, it is moving into summertime. You can smell it in the air. I love summertime. I thrive in the sun in summertime, and I'm just excited for it. I spent a lot of my 20s not looking forward to the end of the year. Now, I love Christmas. I'm not a Grinch. And if you've been listening to the podcast for the past couple of years, if you've followed me on Instagram, you know I love it. And we are going back home for Christmas, and I'm excited to see my friends and family. And there's always so many festivities. So I'm just really in it. I don't, fun fact, I don't care much for Christmas Day. Is anyone else the same? Like, honestly, slide into my DMs if this is the same for you. I know everyone hypes up Christmas Day and lots of food and all that, and I still have that, and I still see all my loved ones. But honestly, the festivities around Christmas, like the 2 weeks leading up, even Christmas Eve, I celebrate with all of my friends, and I just love it way more than Christmas. I don't know if that's controversial. Still love Christmas, but yeah, let me know. Come slide into my DMs on Instagram if you're the same, or maybe you're listening to this and you're just completely a Grinch and don't like Christmas. So you're not going to like my festive cheer. But getting back from Europe and getting back, jet lag aside, being able to get back into a routine, being able to cook for myself, all these small things. I was actually just before this voice messaging a friend, and I was telling her it's those things that you really miss when you're traveling. It does not take away from how grateful I am or how appreciative I am that I was able to have such an amazing trip with my partner. But yeah, it was amazing. And I'm so happy that we were able together to go on this big trip, especially post COVID. I have been overseas several times since, COVID's kind of fizzled out, but this was definitely, big plane vibes, big holiday vibes. We also flew business class over there, and that was such an amazing experience as well. And something that I'm going to kind of weave into today's conversation. But yeah, coming back, I'm doing a whole identity overhaul. And this is what I'm going to speak to you about today is your identity, your self-concept, how you perceive yourself, how you're moving in your day-to-day activity, how you're creating your new self. And actually today, so it's the 20th of September, I am hosting a free 2-day training about it's called Identity Upgrade. And as it suggests, it's everything that has really subconsciously and consciously upgraded my identity. Because you can do all of the affirmations, you can have the best 10-step morning routine, you can have the best nighttime routine, you can go to the gym, you can move, you can invest in yourself. But if you are not, and we're going to dive deeper today, but if you are not really getting into your hard drive and understanding how that works and why it works the way it does, why you are behaving the way you are, your nervous system's capacity, you will not be able to effectively upgrade your identity. And one thing I was speaking about to a private client today was the fact that this is why I see a lot of women before they come to me, they have tried so many things. And maybe you're in the same boat. You've tried many, many things. You dive deep. You're actually motivated, right? And maybe you're lacking a bit of discipline, but you are motivated to change. And you either don't see any progress or the progress you thought you would, or you have created some form of success. You have created some form of change. And then after 3, 6, 9 months, you revert back to how you used to be. You start self-sabotaging again, you get into old patterns, you get into old ways of thinking. And I was really thinking about identity and self-concept whilst I was away in Europe, because holiday vibes is just like a different energy, right? It's almost like you have permission to be who you really want to be. And it's an amazing like energy. Even if you go on a small holiday, I want you, and if you have one coming up, tap into this. You can really feel like a different energetic shift. And this thought of mine, this process of thinking was even more solidified when I got on a one-on-one call today. And one of my clients, she went off to Sydney for a weekend. She's from Melbourne, and she felt this shift in her energy too. And that's a 90-minute flight. So next trip that you have, just really hone in and tap into the different energetic shift, because it brings out something differently. Changing your environment is everything. I've always said it's one of the best things that I've ever had, but that I've ever done for myself, especially when I feel a little bit stuck or stagnant or whatever it may be. But when it comes to identity, one of the most important things to remember is you will always revert back unless you are really diving into that programming, both subconscious, both conscious. Now, that free training is going to be something that unless you sign up, you will not get. So it will be it will be hosted live. And then after that will be taken down. And those who have signed up to the training will be able to get the replay. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the show notes below. So you are able to sign up for that training, and you will be able to receive the link to it. You will be able to receive the download to it, and you'll be able to watch it, go for it, and make notes, brainstorm. I'm so, so excited for it. It's going to be honestly one of the best trainings. I was going to say free trainings, but just overall training that I've hosted this year with all of the concepts. And I want to dive even deeper today in today's podcast episode and speak a little bit about identity. But if you want the replay, because by the time I've uploaded this, it will be a replay, definitely go into the show notes below and go sign up for that. Now, identity. How do you see yourself? Who do you see yourself as? What is your self-concept? What are the beliefs you have about yourself? How are you acting on a day-to-day basis? A lot of the time, what actually happens is when we are diving deep into personal development, whether it's by ourselves, we've made a investment, or we've been doing it for a while, it's really, really easy to consume a lot. It's really, really easy to do a lot, or think you're changing, like get the dopamine hit and think you're changing how you are and who you are, but be doing the same thing over and over again. When was the last time you actually looked at your routines, at your rituals, at what you're doing on an almost hourly basis, half an hourly basis throughout the day, and assessed, why am I doing? What am I doing? And just right now, just check in with, like, let's be really, really honest with ourselves. One thing that I will be speaking about in the training, and I'm going to bring to you in this podcast episode, is the understanding that when we check in with ourselves, it's really, really easy to allow our ego rather than our intuitive, our higher self come into play. So we can ask, like, how am I doing? And our ego has a way of justifying things. Our ego has a way of downplaying where we really are and where we're really at in life and what we need to change. Because what is happening is we are scared of change, right? We have this fear of change, this fear of success, maybe a fear of failure, a fear of judgment. And so our ego gravitates towards justifying why we should stay how we are, or why we are we are repeating, lost my words, we are repeating these patterns of self-sabotage, right? Something I shared with a client today when you are procrastinating, because this is an issue, this is a self-sabotaging pattern I see over and over again. And when you are procrastinating, remember, it's not really about you being lazy. It's not really about you being demotivated, right? These factors can come into play, but what it actually means is you are struggling to emotionally regulate. Now, I want you to use that concept and apply it to changing your identity, to becoming your higher self. When you are trying to do that, your body, your nervous system is actually trying to regulate you. Now, where you currently are, this is why I asked you to check in with yourself. And I really highly recommend, if you can right now, pause this podcast episode, get out your journal and check in with yourself. Where are you? What does your life look like? If it's easier, write out your relationships and then do a career or business, then do your money, then do your health and whatever else is important to you, and be really, really honest with where you're at, even if it feels a little bit weird putting it on paper or to face it, because that's what I see a lot of the time is like when we face what is actually happening, we shy away from it. And that's when we have this inability to emotionally regulate. So going back to what I was saying on procrastination, and if this is something that you struggle with, this is going to be for you, but understanding that you put off what is going to happen. So if you start scrolling on your phone, if you start binging Netflix, if you, instead of working on that project, you go out for lunch or you go for a walk, your brain starts to justify it. But what's actually happening subconsciously, what's actually happening in your nervous system, it's trying to emotionally regulate you. It's trying really to do its job. It's trying to do the, in quotation marks, the better thing, the best thing for you, right? But consciously, we know, okay, I'm procrastinating. We label it as a perceived bad thing. And then we repeat these cycles because we get so overwhelmed, or we don't know how to get out of it, or we feel like we're on autopilot. It's like we're numbing ourselves, right? But the body, the nervous system, has quite literally learned that this is the way to regulate yourself. So it thinks it's doing a good thing. Now, it's not about shaming yourself. And hang on, before I go into that, I want you to apply that whole concept to changing your identity. So if you go through, and like I said, I do really highly recommend when you're at a capacity to go through and audit your life. I believe in, I think I've said this many times on the podcast, I believe in auditing your life every single quarter. So this is perfect leading up to Q4 of 2023. But I really want you to be honest about where you are regulating that's in the form of self-sabotage, that is not assisting you, that is not bringing you closer towards your goals. And any form of self-sabotage isn't bringing you closer towards your goals, isn't serving you in any way possible. But, and as I was saying, it's not about shaming yourself. It's not about judging yourself. It's not about, hitting yourself on the hand and slap on the wrist for procrastinating or for binge watching TV or emotionally spending. It's about becoming aware. The first step to healing and understanding how the nervous system and subconscious mind, once it is programmed, and to be able to fix that to whatever, and I say fix very lightly for lack of a better word, but I mean to be able to shift yourself in a way that's going to benefit you, is you being able to understand and become consciously aware that you're doing it. Now, you've probably been in these cycles. You've maybe procrastinated for 3 hours and then you come out of it and you are putting yourself down. You were telling yourself you're not worthy, not good enough. And then you fall into this, emotional come down, and you're just not feeling good, and you don't do anything at all. And you keep repeating these types of cycles. Well, this is where you just need to become aware and ask yourself, what can I do in that moment? But even before that, why am I trying to emotionally regulate? Okay, I've learned that I want to change. I want to go for this promotion, which requires me to do this project. However, my body thinks that that's not safe. And then you have to dive in deeper. And this is something I'm going to go through in the free training. This is something I go into depth with all of my clients and all of my containers, which, by the way, the Confidence Collective is open again for enrollment. I say again because I wasn't actually going to open it for enrollment again this year. And I'm really, really excited. It's a 3-week container. It's punchy, it's juicy. This is one of the topics because, contrary to what a lot of mindset, business, empowerment, embodiment coaches teach. Confidence isn't just, fake it till you make it. It's not just, eye contact and all of that and topping up your self-worth. It's about emotional regulation too. It's about understanding where the lack of self-worth is coming from. So if you are ready for a container that is short, it is 3 weeks, but powerful. You get to get on group calls with me. You get to have group Voxer with me as well. So Monday to Friday, ask me any questions after the calls. You get 9 modules and you also get 2 bonus trainings. One's my Activate training, which is a 2-part confidence training as well. So that's really, you get 10 modules when it comes to confidence. And then you will also get my money magnetism training, which is a favorite of everyone who has ever invested in it. And you get to come in and we get to discuss how you actually shift into your most confident self, how you actually have a change of your self identity, your self concept, and everything that I'm speaking about today. Yes, I'm going to go into the free training, but if you want the touch points where you get to ask me questions, where you get to dive in deeper, where you get to get the one on one touch points and advice and workshop through that, when I hold group coaching calls, they're not just me talking at you and then you ask a few questions at the end. I like to actively workshop and show you different things. If that sounds like, yes, I need this to end the year, I need this to go into 2024, I want to do something for myself, there will be a link in the show notes below. But if you want to ask more questions, you want to understand more of the logistics, then I just want you to come slide into my DMs and just tell me, listen to this podcast episode, you're interested in investing in the Confidence Collective, and then we can go from there. But I'm really, really excited to reopen this for enrollment. I felt called to whilst I was away in Europe. And I knew I wasn't at capacity. So I'm like, definitely if I still feel that call when I'm home, and I didn't, it was so loud. So putting it out there, I keep the groups quite small and intimate because I want to be able to do the one-on-one touch point work as effectively and as efficiently as possible, because that's important to me. I don't want to have 30 people on a group call. It's not going to be as effective. So if you're ready to be someone who really taps into who they are, to have a voice, to be able to expand your presence, to feel so worthy of everything that you truly desire, this is something that is going to be for you. And, if you are procrastinating, if you have these cycles of self sabotage, if you are struggling to emotionally regulate to a new person and to change, this is definitely for you. But as I was saying on the emotional regulation point, is understanding and becoming consciously aware of, okay, this is what I'm doing, but what am I afraid of on the other side? And that's the biggest part that I want you to take away from this is, yes, the emotional regulation, but what are you scared about on the other side? And it's not good enough to just say change or success or more money or people noticing me or maybe I'll get it and I won't be able to maintain it or I'm going to fail. Yes, that's a starting point. And this is why I create the containers that I have and the coaching that I have, because a lot of coaches will be like, okay, that's a fear of failure. Just get better at failing. No, you need to understand, well, how can I regulate to that? How can I expand my capacity? How can I be so sure in myself? I'm not outsourcing my power. I'm not seeking validation. I'm not seeking approval, right? Even if you make an investment in me and any coach, you're not seeking to be approved by us. You're not seeking for the answers consistently and relying on us. You are able to stand in your own worth. And I think it's so important to know when you are changing who you are, it takes time, it takes patience, but you also have to grant yourself some grace because you aren't going to like what comes out. You aren't going to like the fact that you really want this promotion with more money, but you're shying away from it. You need to understand the benefits and the drawbacks. That's how we neutralize. Something I speak about here, something I speak about in all my containers is neutralizing, continuously neutralizing what we're doing, what we're bringing in, and understanding why that fear. A fear is a past resentment. And I can go on and my clients know I could speak for hours on this and I have on group calls, but look at, okay, I'm trying to make a change. I'm not seeing the progress I thought I would, or a change, and then I get back into the same patterns. What are you struggling to emotionally regulate to? And what is actually the hidden meaning, like the subconscious? The conscious is like understanding. how you are self-sabotaging. So maybe you're procrastinating, that's your form of emotional regulation, which your body is trying to regulate to safety. But then you are understanding consciously, okay, the next level is I actually have this fear of success. I have a fear of making more money because I fear what my parents are going to say about me. So then it's understanding the benefits and drawbacks of that and bringing in and expanding your capacity. I promise this type of work, if you're not ready for an investment yet into the Confidence Collective, right now I'm also enrolling for one-on-one in Voxer and Reclaim mentorship. If you're not ready for that, definitely click the show note below, get into the free training, have that sent to you, watch that, do the work that I speak about in the training, do this work that I've just spoken about in this episode as we end off the year and actually start to make progress, right? It's not good enough to say affirmations. It's not good enough to add another EFT tapping or meditation to your routine. What is good enough is to understand why your body reacts the way it does, why your subconscious mind is rooted in doing the same thing, and also what you fear about. Being in a new identity. I teach to my clients, you've got your old identity, you've got your new identity, but you have the in between identity. And a lot of the women that come to me are in the in between, and that's often the most trickiest because you kind of feel like you're halfway there and you start to just slow down, you stop the momentum, when really your body is just trying to regulate but still hold some perceived, put in quotation marks, perceived bad habits or bad ways of being that aren't, and I say bad in the way of that aren't effective, that aren't efficient for you, that aren't productive for you. So as we're closing off the year and you're thinking about, I know everyone always has these thoughts about, okay, what have I done this year? What have I achieved? What haven't I achieved? What am I going to be doing in the next year? What do I want to bring in? What do I want to manifest? Start with how you see yourself. Start with your identity. Start with how you are holding yourself every single day and start to really focus on, how is my body regulating? Is it in the way that's keeping me safe because of old subconscious patterns? Or is it in a way that is not beneficial to who I want to be? As always, my loves, slide in. I can't speak. Oh my God. Slide into my DMs and let me know how you found this episode. Share it on your story. Tag me. It's good to be back. I've missed you all. And as always, if you have any episode suggestions, anything you want me to dive deeper into, just let me know. Slide into my DMs. I'm always open for a chat. I'm always open for a voice message. And I will see you in next episode. Bye.